Hello and welcome to Money Matters. China's economy faces many headwinds in its effort to recover from the pandemic. This week, three analysts give us their updates on the mainland M&A market, its much beleaguered tech sector, and the midterm outlook for the economy.
For many years, China's cutting-edge technology sector minted billionaires and ever larger operations, from entertainment and media to finance. But then a few critical comments against China's financial regulators by Alibaba founder Jack Ma triggered one of the largest and longest concerted actions against private enterprises in history. It wiped out $1.5 trillion in market value in 2021 alone. Even the U.S. regulators jumped in with demands for changes in how U.S.-listed Chinese tech companies audit their books. U.S. threats of delistings seem to have woken China's officials to the possibility of long-lasting damage to the sector. Here, at least, there's been some relief, and perhaps an acknowledgement by Beijing it needs to cut the sector some slack.
We see that now CSRC, like the Chinese securities regulator, is basically allowing the possibility of foreign regulator to inspect the audit paper for companies that are listed overseas, right? So I think it's definitely a good sign. And in addition to that, we also see the premier and the vice premier came out basically supporting like a reduction of regulations, or just like kind of like a ease in regulatory crackdown.
One of the main goals of the Xi government is to maintain stability, and any company seen to threaten this goal could find itself in the crosshairs. Alibaba was targeted with antitrust behavior on its e-commerce platform, and Meituan for its labor practices in its delivery business. But with the easing of pressure in recent weeks, tech analysts are hopeful.
If you're talking about Chinese regulators, then, for example, I think like the antitrust will still be in place. National security, data privacy, or protection for the gig economy workers, things like that. I think it will continue to be in place. But then I think that if we're talking about very specific regulatory crackdown on e-commerce industry, I believe that it should be largely over.
The upshot of all this drama in China tech is that the sell-off since February 2021 has produced stock valuations that analysts never dreamed of for these tech counters. Greater clarity in the earnings trajectory is expected to increase going forward.
The market is generally a bit concerned about Alibaba's like fundamentals that like they might weaken. But I think the positive is that it actually will see a gradually narrowed loss from like the new initiatives. So I think they have already guided that. So I think going forward, you should be able to see earnings improvements, and there should be increase in multiples in that case.
China's tech sector may have changed dramatically in the last 2 years, but the M&A market has also seen huge changes in the flow of deals. Analysts say there has been a clear divergence between inbound and outbound transactions.
China M&A used to be an outbound-dominated market. However, driven by Chinese government policy, outbound activities has decreased significantly. However, the inbound deals flow into China are relatively steady and is still growing. It is worth to mention that in the first half of 2020, for the first time in the last 10 years, foreign investments into China have surpassed China's outbound transactions, both in terms of total deal value and total number of transactions.
China's M&A focus has edged away from the US and Europe because of tighter rules on foreign takeovers. Deals have taken place in Latin America, Middle East, and Southeast Asia. Domestic deal-making has also grown. Sectors like technology, data centers, software, and electric vehicles have seen lots of activity. The healthcare sector has also been busy.
Healthcare, clearly another market focus due to its promising returns, pandemic effects, and also aging populations of government policies. Lastly, ESG. The pandemic has clearly served as a wake-up call to the society on the importance of ESG and the green and sustainable economic recovery. And ESG factors is becoming more and more integrated into the M&A deal-making progress.
The rationale to increase ESG positive M&A deals has increased and has even become urgent. Investors feel compelled to align with client goals to encourage more sustainable ways of making money.
It's a core competitive strategy and also strategic consideration for the corporate's future resilience and growth in terms of competition for capital, for talents, and also the corporate brand image. We can also look at financial investors in M&A market. They are also prioritizing ESG investment. More and more pre-deal screening criteria is implemented in private equity or hedge funds investment policies. There's a strong preference for the fund managers and investors to allocate resources into ESG portfolios driven by the factors like potentially better return, regulatory requirements, or value alignment with investors.
Analysts say ESG positive deals will transform M&A investment, aligning the values of all stakeholders in any particular deal. China's growth outlook has always been dependent on domestic policy considerations. Lately, though, other factors have begun to influence the pace of the current mainland recovery.
The Ukraine or geopolitics, certainly, it's something that sentiment, or we've seen a dampening of sentiment due to these rising geopolitical concerns. So whether it's, for example, the ADR issues, the Chinese companies being listed in the US, again, this isn't anything new. Although this time around, the concern was these Chinese companies couldn't be audited because of COVID reasons. So these kind of situations, and again, you're going to see them crop up from time and time again, given this competitive nature between the two economies.
COVID and the lockdowns we have seen on the mainland, specifically Shanghai, remains a major hurdle for the economic recovery. And there doesn't seem to be any sign Beijing will shift its zero COVID policy.
So the lockdowns we have seen more recently, they've been, especially like we look at Shenzhen, sharper in terms of the period. But this still could have an effect when it comes to achieving that 5.5% growth, both from a disruption potential disruption of supply chains and manufacturing, as well as, very importantly, this has come through in the recent data, the impact it's had on retail sales and consumer sentiment. So definitely something to be mindful of. But again, given the PBOC's policy stance and where we are in the policy cycle, we do expect to see both monetary and fiscal easing to support the economy in the second half of the year.
Analysts also say do not underestimate the growing power of domestic investors, who could well snap up stock bargains amid the overall improvement in sentiment after Beijing's policy response truly kicks in.
Chinese equities is the least correlated, or one of the least correlated markets with the S&P 500 or US equities. I think what's also really important when we look at flows into this part of the world, broad Asia as well as China, is the growing influence of the domestic Asian investor base. And that's really key. So markets aren't just beholden to foreign flows.
China's gross domestic product expanded by 4.8% in the first quarter from a year earlier, beating analysts' expectations for a gain of 4.4%. On a quarter-on-quarter basis, GDP rose 1.3% in January-March, compared with expectations for a 0.6% rise. However, China's economic activity slowed in March, with weakness in consumption, property, and exports eclipsing faster than expected first-quarter GDP. The data suggest a worsening in the outlook as sweeping COVID-19 curbs and the Ukraine war take a toll. Analysts say April data will likely be worse, with lockdowns in commercial center Shanghai and elsewhere dragging on, suggesting greater recession risks. March activity showed retail sales contracting the most on an annual basis since April 2020 on widespread COVID curbs across the country. They fell 3.5%, worse than expectations for a 1.6% decrease, after an increase of 6.7% in January-February. The job market is showing signs of stress in March, a usually robust month for the labor market, as factories resume hiring for the Lunar New Year holiday. China's nationwide survey-based jobless rate stood at 5.8% in March, the highest since May 2020, while that in 31 major cities hit a record 6%. Home sales by value in March slumped 26.2% year-on-year, the biggest drop since January-February 2020, pointing to a deepening downturn in the property market.
When we come back, Money Matters looks at the challenges of redeveloping property in Wanchai. Stay with us. Welcome back to Money Matters. The Wanchai district is a congested urban landscape with a mix of the old and the new in its property market. With a dearth of new plots, developers rely on buying occupied sites and redeveloping them. No easy task. Alice Kahn takes a look at a flat in a redevelopment project that includes a heritage building on the site.
Johnson Road was called Praya East back in 1851. Now it is a cluster of old and modern buildings. Residents tried to preserve the heritage buildings from redevelopment. Back in 2004, the Urban Renewal Authority and developer Kawa International jointly redeveloped Johnson Road. These four 140-year-old Cantonese veranda-style buildings, including the well-known Wo Chong Pawn Shop, were preserved and now are used by trendy restaurants. This week, we'll have a look at this redevelopment project on Johnson Road, completed in 2007. It offers 381 units with sizes that range from 307 to 1,800 square feet. 70% of the residents are expats. Due to COVID, the prices of this development are under pressure. The average transacted price is around $20,000 per square foot, a drop of 6.6% in March. Prices have firmed up recently.
The number of the COVID is the trend is lower. The owner predict the market will be raised up soon. They don't want to give too much discount.
We checked out this 611 square foot flat on a high floor. The owner is asking $15 million. If the owner can't get the price he wants, he will lease it for $34,000 a month. The living area is 230 square feet. The 11-foot ceiling height makes the flat more roomy. The designer, Dominic Chan, showed us how he made the unit look bright and chic.
Then what is the design theme of this flat?
Actually, the current market trend is now simple but elegant. People do not prefer the heavy tone decoration style anymore. And you can also see the floor tile. It has an industrial look. It's very easy to maintain and clean.
Well, it seems the marble board is also the color and the theme is go with it.
Yeah. And also the market trend now is getting have a cool feeling rather than a warm feeling. So the color scheme is white, gray, and black.
The living area is square and practical.
There's a two living wall in this living area. Well, did you make any changes or design to the wall?
Yes. Now you can see there's a one-piece big feature wall, but the original design is not like this. Actually, originally, there's one door here to one of the bedroom, and another door next to this door to another bedroom. But in this way, the wall will be divided and you cannot put big furniture on this wall. So I changed the location of the doors to the bedroom.
Then we can put very large furniture.
Yeah, I would suggest like putting a very big TV over here. And then, you know, most experts, they have a lot of big cabinets. For example, a tall bookshelf or a display cabinet. You can put it just next to this wall.
What do we do on this side?
I would suggest putting a 4-seat couch over here. And you will also have space to put an armchair or maybe a coffee table over here. For this wall, you can decorate it with a lot of paintings to decorate the wall.
There is a floor-to-ceiling window in the living room. The balcony overlooks Hopewell Center and a construction site. There's a sliver of a mountain view. In the dining area, it is large enough to fit a table for 6.
Where is the room? I don't see the door access to the room.
Yes, this is a very good question. Let me show you now. You can see there's a mirror here, but actually it is the sliding door to the bedroom.
The ensuite master is 180 square feet.
I think the original design is not an ensuite, it's only a bedroom and a guest.
Yes, you are right. Now, I made this sliding door, so when you close this sliding door, now it becomes a private area. The bathroom can be exclusively used by the master bedroom.
The access to the washroom remains private as long as the door is closed. The sleeping area is 120 square feet.
That's big enough to put a king-size bed.
Yeah, of course. You can put a king-size bed over here. The headboard is against this wall, and you can see I've made a very well-textured wallpaper on this wall. And after putting the king-size bed, you still have enough space to walk around.
Then how about this floor? What sort of furniture we can put on this wall?
I think you can put a chest of drawers on this wall, and above the drawers you can put some paintings or TVs.
Then how about wardrobe? Can we put a large wardrobe?
Of course, you can put a big wardrobe against this wall, up to 2 meters.
View-wise, it overlooks mountains and buildings.
Dominic, show me the other bedroom.
Yes.
But it's a mirror.
Yes, it's a mirror, but it's actually a concealed door to another bedroom.
This bedroom is only 75 square feet. Also, it has a bay window which takes up space.
How do you use this room? Can we use it as a guest room or office?
Yeah, I think actually most tenants in this building, they are the professionals, financial consultants. This bedroom can be a perfect home office. It has a very big bay window, so one can put a work table on top of it to fully utilize this space. And if necessary, you might also put a sofa bed in this space and maybe a very big bookshelf against this wall.
Dominic made a huge change to the open kitchen.
The fridge is here. It's not a very big fridge. It's only up to this tall, and which is not enough for a family basic use. And then after the fridge, you have a sink here, and then you have a induction hob here, and then you have not much kind of space left, and you only have one induction hob, which is not enough for cooking. So I made a few major changes. First of all, I relocated the fridge to another position so that you now have much more countertop space. And the new sink is put here, and then now you can see you have 2 induction hobs. You can do a lot of cooking here.
The agent says the owner spent $500,000 on the renovations.
The owner is asking $15 million, right? Then I think it is higher than the market price. Is it correct?
Yes, it's higher than the market price, 10%. But you see, this unit is higher floor, and the view is better. You see the mountain view. And also, if you use this price in the surrounding area, just next by the avenue, you can only get 1.5 bedroom with only 500 something square feet. But in this building, you can get 611 square feet.
J residence is now transacted at around 20,000 Hong Kong per square foot in average. Yeah, but it is asked at around 24.5 thousand Hong Kong per square foot. I think there is a room for the asking price to further cut down by around 10 to 15%. So the reasonable price should be around 22,000 Hong Kong per square foot.
However, the latest mortgage lending policy pushes buyers to go for flats at or below $16 million.
The home buyer can get more benefit in doing the home mortgage when buying a residential units at the level of 10 million Hong Kong or 12 million Hong Kong. Yeah, because for example, for the 12 million Hong Kong residential unit, they can lend up to 80% and subject to a money cap of 9.6 million Hong Kong. So even for the residential unit with a bigger lump sum, which is up to 60 million, they can lend at around 60%. Yeah, compared with before, which is only 50%. Yeah, so it will also bring benefit to the bigger size unit.
Amenities-wise, the building offers a clubhouse on the top 2 levels. The rooftop has a barbecue space overlooking a harbor and mountain view. It also has a spacious lounge and a swimming pool.
That's the show. Thanks for watching. Next week, Money Matters reports from the Philippines on the impact the next president might have on its economy. See you then. Good night.